got some interesting news this past week. It's not necessarily news. It's more of a what if, what could have been kind of news. So the story is David S. Goyer was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. If you guys haven't listened to the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, it's amazing. Some great guests on there, some really great raw and real conversations that go on there. You learn a lot about your favorite celebrities and creators in the Hollywood business. I really like that podcast. But anyways, David S. Goyer, he was on this show. He was talking, and whether he let it slip, whether he wasn't supposed to say it, whether he could say it, I don't really know. He decided to let it known to the world that Guillermo del Toro actually almost did Star Wars movies, and he named a couple. He gave a little ideas that were going on with Guillermo del Toro, and Guillermo del Toro also commented back, and he gave a pretty interesting hint. Let's look at this, guys. This comes to us from Deadline. When asked why the project... Oh, here we go. Make it a little bigger for myself. When asked why the project never took off, the scribe explained, there was just a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on at Lucasfilm at the time, but it's a cool script. There's a lot of cool artwork from it that was produced. So he's talking about he's talking about how Guillermo del Toro and him worked on a script for a Star Wars movie about 6 years ago. So there was some behind-the-scenes stuff going on at Lucasfilm. Maybe trying to figure out what exactly to do with the sequel trilogy, but still not coming up with a plan. Anyways, let's move on. So he goes on to say, Del Toro, or the article goes on to say, Del Toro chimed in via Twitter fairly quickly to affirm Goyer's account of events. And here's what Del Toro had to say. True, can't say much. Maybe 2 letters, J and BB. Is that 3 letters? He teased, presumably alluding to characters Jabba the Hut and BB-8. Now, I don't think Deadline is right about that. I do not think that BB-8 is what he's referring to. I think it was just Jabba, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Goyer also shared during his recent podcast appearance that he wrote a scriptment for an Origins of the Jedi movie set 25,000 years before the events of the franchise as we currently know it. But that project has likely gone unproduced. Sounds a lot like James Mangold's project, if you ask me. How events coalesced was a bit unfortunate, he suggested, because dabbling further in Star Wars would have been fun for him, even if he was able to dip his toe into the world of the series via the VR project Vader Immortal. All right, so this is kind of interesting. This is kind of fun to speculate and kind of just geek over. Guillermo del Toro almost did a Star Wars movie. What would that have looked like? Well, let's talk, first of all, let's talk about that whole JBB thing. So I do think what he's referring to is Jabba the Hut. I think that Guillermo del Toro was totally interested in doing maybe not a Jabba the Hut the movie, but definitely something revolving those scoundrels, revolving that underbelly world of Star Wars. Now, Let's just think for a second, though. How would a Jabba movie really work? Like, I don't think a movie centered around Jabba the Hut, if indeed this was going to be a movie centered around Jabba the Hut, I don't think that would work, especially not with modern audiences. Because as we know, Jabba the Hut, unless you're going to do something where you totally tick off the fans and you take away his alien language, you just make him speak English the entire time. Or maybe you do one of those cool things where he talks in his kind of language, and then you transition into English, and we're just hearing English the rest of the movie, but we all know Jabba speaking, But if they were going to do a Jabba movie, and they were going to do it authentically, because I feel like Guillermo del Toro, he'd probably want to do it authentically. You know that his puppet work, you know that his creatures designs, they would have been so much fun to see. But with a Jabba the Hutt movie where he's talking and you've got English subtitles going the entire movie, I really don't think a Star Wars movie like that would fly with audiences. It's almost like a foreign film at that point. And not knocking any foreign films. Some foreign films are excellent. I personally love Parasite. That's a movie where I read the subtitles as I watch it, but the subtitles kind of just like fade away. And it's a really cool experience. But yeah, I don't know if people would gravitate towards watching a Star Wars movie where you have to read the entire movie. I feel like the fact that got scrapped might have been actually a smart decision for Lucasfilm to do. But when we're talking about this idea, which sounds a lot like James Mangold's idea of going back 25,000 years to the origins of the Jedi, I feel like that would have been really fun to see Guillermo del Toro's vision and bringing his style to the Star Wars galaxy with that. And honestly, after hearing this, I'm not giving up hope that maybe this could resurface. Maybe they could go back to Guillermo del Toro. Maybe down the line we will actually get a Guillermo del Toro Star Wars project of some sort. Disney Plus, theatrical, who knows? I would prefer theatrical, but who knows? Maybe one day it would happen. But what do you guys think of this? Do you guys feel kind of cheated out that we missed an opportunity to get a Guillermo del Toro directed Star Wars movie? Or are you kind of just like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of the guy's style. Maybe it's for the best. Well, comment down below and let me know, guys. What do you guys think of this? I'd love to hear it.